This game made me poo myself. Resident Evil 2 2019 is a remake of the original by the same name. While the original was known for static camera angles and batshit puzzle solving, its remake was focused more towards satisfying combat and terrifying ambiance. If you've ever played a game like Gear Raiders or Unspace, then this game will feel familiar. This user-friendly control scheme leads to a surprising sense of helpless babiness upon encountering your very first zombie. Why is there no chainsaw button? Zombies don't care. Zombies don't care. They really just do not care. Zombies give zero shits about the fact that you're shooting them. It more often than not just pisses them off. I ended up ignoring bodies that I'd normally double tap out of the fear that I'd be right and have to deal with another enemy. Ammo is scarce, and even when you do have it, one enemy can eat away at nearly half your supply. Every zombie in the game seems to have its own health bar, varying wildly from case to case. Some go down in one pistol shot, and others upwards of 10. This becomes even more problematic as you pick up more weapons and key items, forcing you to sometimes leave ammo behind due to limited inventory. Why does a key require its own pocket? You can't fit any bullets in there? Just when you start being able to deal with enemies via one shot of a better weapon, they give you a new enemy type more resistant to your better armament. This carefully architected mechanic relationship leads the player to a general sense of, I could die at any moment, or at least it did me. Unfortunately, their attempt at the ultimate engine of unease, the Tyrant, ends up leading more to frustration than fear. Mr. Stompy Stomp will eventually invade your world and start hunting you down like the pig you are. His girthy footsteps will echo through the halls, zeroing in on your every gunshot and attempt to grab the library crank. He's fun and spooky for like 10 minutes before he starts pissing you off, which enraged me to no end upon playing Leon 2nd. For those of you who aren't familiar, the campaign is meant to be played at least 4 times. Once as each character in the A or first scenario, then the B or second scenario, each changing the story barely enough to matter. I recommend starting with Leon A, just to get the most of Mr. Stompy Stomp out of the way. God, I hate him. Look at that stupid fedora. I mean, just look at it. A true crime against fashion. In Leon A, you play as Leon S. Kennedy on his way to his first day on the job as a Raccoon City police officer, at the handwritten request of police chief and all-around nice guy, Brian Irons. You quickly become responsible for somebody's death before being saved by one Miss Claire Redfield, better known as Chris Redfield's sister, because every woman in this game is accessory to a man, but more on that later. You hijack a dead man's car and off you are to the rest of the game. There, you'll be separated, meet a black man who is your guardian MacGuffin generator for the first part of the game, leave him to die, then meet your guardian MacGuffin generator for the rest of this, and retroactively the 4th game, Ada Wong. This is where the genre of this game became clear to me. Zombie noir. All the necessary stock characters are present. The femme fatale, the femme not-so-fatale, the grizzled cop, the love-struck idiot cop, the evil scientist, the guy in the fedora. Capitalism!
Welcome to corporate America.
I must say that I did enjoy seeing Ada be cool in the police department, but that made it so sour when she becomes just another woman to be saved by the pure-of-heart Prince Charming main character. Upon saving her for the second time in 15 minutes, it's revealed that she is now unable to complete the mission she's been lying to Leon about and opts to sexually manipulate him into completing it for her. It ends with her getting Palpatined because why not, and you getting away on a train with Claire and some fucking kid.
Who's this?
This is Sherry.
Okay.
Claire's story infuriates me. Allow me to explain as we review its contents. In Claire's story, everything is basically the same gameplay-wise, just with different cutscenes and situations involving the Tyrant. Her motivation is that she's looking for her brother, who hasn't picked up the phone in a while. Yeah, that's it. You brave a zombie-infested city and end up learning within a couple hours that he's just off in Europe hanging with babes.
This does not sound like Chris.
With your job as babysitter to your brother completed, you leave Marvin for dead again and go fight the first boss, this time being rewarded with a child upon completion. This ushers in your new job as Sherry's replacement mommy, which you're not very good at, because she gets kidnapped 5 minutes later during a very unsettling cutscene of that all-around nice guy from earlier beating Claire with a loaded gun. Claire, of course, follows, but not after a segment of gameplay as Sherry herself. I ended up hating this gameplay segment, but props to that voice acting for sending me someplace very not fun.
The longer it takes me to find you, the worse it's gonna be.
At the end of this segment, Irons goes through, and I want you to remember this, an experience known as implanting, and Sherry gets double kidnapped. Claire gets there, sees what happens to those who are implanted, and jumps into the sewers to fulfill her new motherly duties. There, she finds Sherry in the same trash pit Ada was shanked in, and uses the power of chess to free her. It is there we are properly introduced to Annette Birkin as Sherry's mother, implying that the mutant creature is in fact her father, and she informs us that her daughter has been implanted. Let us now remember what that means. Why did you put this in here? Why would you want me to think about that? You couldn't make the only example go in somewhere else, like the ribs or the neck or the stomach? You had to do the mouth? Why? Okay, aliens, but you know what aliens didn't do? Implant the friggin' kid! If this shit wasn't gross enough, there's a note that explains, in detail, that the prime candidate for G-form reproduction is the child of the host. Specifically. They could have left it at genetically similar, leaving the possibility of them not absolutely needing to implant a family member in order to reproduce. But no, they wanted these things to be incest monsters, and they wanted me to think about this happening to a little girl! And that just doesn't sit right with me. Anyway, the rest of the story is what you'd expect at this point. Annette dies, getting you to save Sherry, and you both go live with Leon on the safety train. While we're on the topic of Annette's brutal and genuinely saddening death, let's talk about how this game treats its women and why it makes me angry. Firstly, this is a game about men. The women are just here to make them look good. This holds true for even the player character Claire, who is compared to and essentially labeled Girl Chris in the opening segments of the game. She then becomes accessory to Sherry, who is accessory to her father alongside her mother, both having zero purpose in the story apart from needing to be saved from him. Ada is, of course, accessory to Leon, her worth starting and ending with how she saves and manipulates Leon at multiple junctures, eventually totally allowing him to replace her in her own mission completely. There's that little girl who gets shot by her dad in Leon's story, and even the badass girl in lingerie from the what if scenario is accessory to the man who gets killed 5 seconds after being met by the player. Secondly, this game seems to put the women through more brutal physical punishment than the men, however less fatal. Ada gets palpatined and shanked with sewer metal, Claire gets pistol whipped, Annette gets ridleyed super hard, Sherry gets implanted, that poor little zombie girl, and I don't even want to know what Irons did to this poor woman before he embalmed her. I understand that the men do get killed a little harder, like with Irons and Bill, but the way the women were thrown around just seemed disproportionately brutal. Anyway, after you're done the campaign and you're looking for a little masochistic tendency to spice up your night, then look no further than the Ghost Survivor modes. Filled to the brim with challenge runs featuring dead characters from the story, you can spend hours dying 5 feet ahead of where you did last in vain attempts at a better time. It's an arcade speedrun mode. They seem like a lot of fun for somebody with the patience, but I have no interest in playing them again now that I've beaten them. Well, I haven't beaten the gas station or the tofu, but bite me. They're difficult and I'm lazy. So, what do I think this game deserves on the 10 scale? Let's go with 7. This is a truly beautiful game, but the mechanics and the story, in my opinion, aren't worth the multiple playthroughs to people other than those keen on speedrunning. To them I say, more power to you, but to everyone else I say, wait for this to go on sale. Then pick it up if it's low. You won't regret the price of admission as long as it's discounted. Thank you to everyone who sat through all that. You and your beautiful face mean a lot to this channel, and me. If you like this review, go ahead and hit those like and subscribe buttons. They mean a lot more than you might think. And if you hate my voice and you want me to die, let me know down in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.